I'd like to know, do you remember your mother's cooking? Or your father's or your grandmother's? Whoever it is, when you close your eyes and you think back to your childhood, who is it that you see in the kitchen? Can you smell the meal that they're preparing for you? Can you hear them calling out to you through the window, "Come inside, it's time for dinner"? For many of us, that's a core memory, whether it was the best meal you've ever had or whether it could have used a little extra seasoning. And we'll carry those memories with us for the rest of our lives. But for about 4,700 children in Ireland and many more across the world, that memory does not exist. Those children and their families can't afford to rent privately, and there's not enough social housing for them to live in either. So they're put up in emergency accommodation. Hotels, hostels, B&Bs. You might think it's a bit of fun living in a hotel, but I promise you it's not. It affects the motor ability of a child, their learning development, their socialization. But importantly as well, all of their meals are standardized and brought to them by internal or external catering staff. There's no kitchen for your mother to make your favorite meal. There's no kitchen for your father to make that blend of herbs and spices that you love the smell of. There's no kitchen for your grandmother to teach you that family recipe. There's nowhere for us to build those special memories. We talk about housing as a market. We talk about demand and supply curves. We talk about assets and liabilities. And in all of that, I think we've forgotten that a house is supposed to be a home. It's supposed to be somewhere of comfort, of security. It's a basic foundation of a dignified life. And unfortunately, that foundation has been eroded. Since the 1980s, governments across the world have been selling social housing stock to its tenants at below market rates under the banner of increasing home ownership. This is a noble cause. The problem is that they have not been building more. They have not been replacing the social housing stock that they've sold. And as the state steps back from the rental market, private landlords will move in. And what comes next isn't an accident. We've shifted our mindsets. Housing has stopped becoming primarily about shelter, and it's become a financial instrument. People see homes now not as places to raise a family, but as portfolios, ways to generate income of someone else's need for shelter, for stability. And that's the heart of the problem. Because the private rental sector has become so dominant, rents have risen astronomically. Landlords, acting perfectly rationally in the system that we've set, raise rents to match market demand. Wages are not going up at the same level as those rents. And so more and more people are spending more and more of their pay packet on rent. They have less money to save, less money to spend, less money to invest in their futures. And for those who can't afford to rent, who are lucky enough that they don't end up in emergency accommodation, they keep living at home well into their late 20s and 30s, not because they're lazy or they particularly want to stay, but because there's nowhere for them to move to. There's nowhere affordable. A generation, multiple generations are being delayed, not just from leaving the nest, but from starting families or building communities or setting down roots somewhere. And home ownership is getting harder too. Not just because people can't save for mortgages anymore, but because homeowners object to housing being built in their neighborhoods. They don't want it to affect the value of their assets. And so this scarcity drives up prices even more. Many homeowners also use the houses that they have as collateral to buy more properties, to increase their portfolios, and add more fuel to a fire that's already burning far too hot. We need to break that cycle. This is not about demonizing landlords or homeowners, despite the fact that it may sound like it. It's just about rethinking what housing is supposed to be for. We need to stop treating houses as assets and start treating it as essential infrastructure like schools and hospitals. Homes are where lives are built. If you want a society that's fair, that's stable, that's forward-looking, we need to change our policies. If you want to live in a society at all, we need first houses to live in. For you future policymakers, That means investing in social and affordable housing, not just subsidizing the market, but building and owning homes as a public good. We need to reform planning systems so that houses can be built where they're needed. And we need to make sure that the state steps back in to the rental sector so that a rent hike isn't the only thing standing between a family and a crisis. And above all, it means going back to the idea that a home is not a privilege, it's a right. We all deserve somewhere nice, safe, secure, and stable to live. A place to have a family or just to hang your hat. A place to call home. So let's start treating houses as homes again. Thank you.